For OmahaSportsInsider.com, I'm Nick Handley for this week's edition of Diamond Cuts. Nebraska getting ready to take on Michigan State as they wrap up their home regular season series. They'll be on the road against Penn State to wrap up the regular series next week, so it will be senior weekend. And for Nebraska, they have some important ones, including the right side of their infield, Ben Miller and Jake Schleppenbach, who have provided a lot of great moments as Huskers. But we'll get to that in a moment. For Nebraska, wow, what a difference a week makes when Nebraska was going into last weekend on the outside looking into the Big Ten Conference race. Who would have thought? Maryland going up against all of a sudden a very hot Illinois team, losing 2 out of 3 to the Fighting Illini, opened the door for Nebraska. If they could take care of business at Hawks Field against Rutgers, they could find themselves in first place, and Nebraska did exactly that. They get their first series sweep of the year, and it could not have come at a better time. Now, Sunday's game was a little bit of a roller coaster as Nebraska had to hold off a late-charging Rutgers rally, but Nebraska able to get that series sweep and put themselves a half game in first place. So, simply put, if Nebraska can finish out the regular season 6-0 or 5-1, they would have their first conference title since 2005 and their first ever Big Ten conference title, which is something that this team really set their sights on at the beginning of the season. And now as this team has taken on its identity, it starts with their pitching. Jake Hohensee and Jake Myers have been really the staples of this starting rotation, but all of a sudden, Derek Burkhamper has been extremely stable in his last 2 starts and given Nebraska a big lift on that Saturday afternoon start. If that can continue, Nebraska not only could be in good shape to win their first conference title since 2005, but also be a big-time threat in Bloomington, Indiana at the Big Ten Conference Tournament in just a couple of weeks. The offense is starting to once again go from top to bottom, a lot of consistency, starting to see production in the top 5, as we've always seen pretty much throughout the entire year, in the bottom of the order. Guys like Jake Schleppenbach, Luis Alvarado, even Mojo Hagge moving back in the lineup have provided a spark, and Jesse Wilkin has been outstanding offensively as of late. But now we're starting to see Jake Myers hit the ball very well in the leadoff spot. You're seeing Scott Schreiber, who got his first Big Ten Conference home run against Rutgers, now leads the team with 5. Luke Roscom has 4 home runs. And really looking at Ben Miller, who has continued to really stay consistent after going through an early season slump. So that's a good sign as the 1 through 9 is continuing to produce. Then you look at what Nebraska is able to do in their midweek game against I-80 rival Creighton. Not the offensive showcase, although Nebraska had some very hard-hit baseballs throughout the night that were played extremely well by Creighton. When you look at the fact that Ethan Frazier, who continues to sort of show that he is ready for a start if need be in the Big Ten tournament or in the postseason at any point, he was outstanding as he was able to really shut down Creighton. And then you saw the bullpen take over. Robbie Palkert was good, Jake McSteen was good, Chad Linsman, and then Luis Alvarado to lock it down as Nebraska was able to take that series against Creighton, winning Wednesday 4-0. So Nebraska goes into Michigan State weekend with a lot of confidence, a lot of momentum, coming off of a sweep, winning 4 games in a row, but maybe more importantly, knowing that they are in the driver's seat for the Big Ten standings. Here's what you're looking at with Michigan State. They're a desperate team, much like Rutgers was last week, but Michigan State does everything pretty good. They're a top half of the Big Ten team in basically every category. This isn't the same Michigan State team we saw last year that was dominated by a very solid pitching staff, but they hit the ball decent. They pitch the ball decent. They're a team that is right there at that 8th spot, so they need this weekend against Nebraska. They got to find a way to get 2 wins in Lincoln to somehow get themselves into the Big Ten tournament, because the following weekend they take on another very tough team in Michigan. So for Michigan State, it's desperation mode. But the difference between Rutgers and Michigan State is a team that probably could do something about it. So for Nebraska, as we saw last year, they were playing their best baseball at the end of the conference regular season. It looks like they might be doing the same thing this year. This will be a huge test this weekend before they head out to play Penn State, the last place team in the Big Ten. So for Nebraska, it'll be Jake Hohensee again Friday night at 6:35 p.m. Saturday's game, Derek Burkhamper will be your starter at 2:05 p.m. And then Sunday's game has been bumped up to travel conditions for Michigan State. They have an earlier flight, so that game will now start at 12:05 p.m. on Mother's Day Sunday at Haymarket Park. Jake Schleppenbach will be honored. Also, Ben Miller, one of the seniors that will play their last regular season series at Haymarket Park this weekend. Jake Schleppenbach has been outstanding, of course, defensively. One of the best second basemen, one of the best fielders, not only in the conference, but in the country. We've seen some power out of his bat as well. Ben Miller, we've talked all about it throughout Diamond Cuts and throughout the year, went through a really bad slump early on. He has been so good offensively. Power numbers, batting for average right now too. But defensively, for a big guy, he's been making a lot of solid plays, not only this year, but throughout his career as a Husker. Two guys that are definitely going to be missed, as is a lot of the seniors that you're going to see, including Saturday starter Derek Burkamper. We'll see what happens this weekend. Should be a great matchup with Nebraska taking on Michigan State, trying to stay in the driver's seat to win their first Big Ten regular season title, and it would be their first conference title since 2005. 6:35 p.m. Friday night, 2:05 Saturday, and 12:05 Sunday, which you can hear on your home for Husker Sports, AM 590 ESPN Omaha. For another edition of Diamond Cuts, I'm Nick Hanley with OmahaSportsInsider.com.